feared and toughest drivers tracks in the business. Whistler, Altenburg, Lake Placid. They're the unholy three. Delighted to be joined in the booth for this two-man race by Steve Messer. And Steve, tight battle always at the front of the field, but surprise names here.
This is great to see. I mean, you've got guys who do not have that much experience on this track. And as you said, Lake Placid is one of the three most vaunted tracks in the world.
So Michael Vogt in third place, Francesco Frugic in the mix, but in second place.
Which is amazing to see. I mean, Friedrich has not lost a race since mid-season last year. So this is something that's going to be weighing on both Friedrich and Lochner. I can tell you, there's no way Johannes is not chomping at the bit to try to unseat his teammate on this one.
Rookie brakeman Georg Fleischauer behind him, and Hansi had a worrying moment at the bottom of the track, got away with a pretty scary one.
Got away with is a great way to put it. This track will keep you honest, we'll say that.
Yeah. Well, he's played one get-out-of-jail-free card. He probably can't risk another one, but last time we were here, we had a double two-man weekend and a double four-man weekend, and in the two-man, Lochner and Friedrich took a gold and silver each. So
it's not unheard of that.
It could go either way.
The way it's going to go, exactly.
Genuinely could, yeah. And Franci's going to have to hang it out there. I think it's win it or bin it. He has to take gold or crash.
Yeah, there's no way. You do not, especially when you've got your teammates sitting there behind you. And there's no way that you don't push the envelope as hard as you can go.
Exactly
especially,
right.
You're talking pre-Olympic year, or sorry, post-Olympic year. The stakes couldn't be, less worrisome going into the next Olympic cycle for right now. So this is the place where you take those gambles.
So our athletes will go in reverse order of their first heat performance, which means that the Canadians will be first off and our German rivals and Michael Vogt will be last to go. And a very quick getaway here for Pat Norton and Kenny Mpindu.
And away we go with the Canadians. They will have a fair amount of experience on this track, being North Americans. So Pat's just trying to put together a better heat than he did on the first way down.
Well, World Cup debut for both of these, driver and brakeman.
And we have our exit of curve 3 back.
Yeah.
That's a fantastic angle. Thank you to everybody out on the track for that work.
All right, so here's our rabbit. He will give us a clue of what to expect. The ice will have changed from when they were driving on it even 45 minutes ago.
It's colder now. The sun is going down. It's colder, which means the ice is going to get harder, but it's also a little bit more beat up. There's been a lot of sleds going down this track today, so you're going to see sleds get a little bit crazier probably in the second heat. But a great chicanes coming through 17 and slide in the heart here.
Nearly 79 miles an hour. They are properly motoring down here.
Coming uphill, that 19-20, those last two corners are uphill. So as you come through that tricky little spot that we'll see over and over again where you got to really thread the needle, if you don't come into 19 clean, Martin, you're going to have to burn all kinds of energy coming up that hill.
So 57-51 for Pat Norton.
As we see them coming through 17 here. Trying to just follow the drop of the curve, and you see he gets a little bit greedy. He came down a little early. The pressure brought him back up a little bit, but it wasn't he didn't overreact, and that's what you have to do. You cannot overreact on this track, or it will bite you in the opposite direction.
Yeah. All right, so 2100 slower than his first heat. We might get an indicator in these first 2 or 3 sleds to see whether the track's quicker or not. Nicola Mariani behind his driver, Cedric Follador. Follador in his rookie season, only his 4th World Cup. Nicola in only his 3rd.
Great view from the back here. These brakemen are dropping their knees in there and trying to push that sled out and get it out in front of them as quickly as they can as they pull through so they can get right into a sprint position and hammer away. These are all people who can power clean a house. They can sprint a 40-yard dash in the way that I put them in the NFL Combine as well. So these brakemen, these push athletes are incredible athletes.
5:28 first start, 5:27 second.
Sliding to the Devil's Highway here. Corners 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 are some of the tightest, fastest, gnarliest corners that you can see in the entire circuit of bobsled.
The POV really shows just how quick they come at you. It's quite scary.
Yep. Lets it fly through here. Coming out of 14, you want to come through here and just let it run. Try to have as little bit of work. You're going to want to see that. We won't play that one too much there, but you want to see that little bump coming into there. Again, not looking at the speeds here. we've running a little bit faster here because they're having a little harder time on the timing of the exit of 17, which is usually 2 sleds in a row. Seeing the little bit of it, the issues coming out of 17 there, that tells me it's moving faster than they have been used to this
I think the speeds are higher. That shot the chicane, by the way, there, 79 miles an hour.
Yeah, that's rolling.
It's rolling. And 400s quicker on the entire run, off a start that was 100th quicker. So that works with Bobsleigh math again. Kind of late exits.
Yep, just falling right off the corner. That is Lake Placid. Squared edges is the feeling as you're driving here. It's not as smooth as everywhere else. That little bump there is what we'll be talking about right there. It sets you up at a 17. You get to set up well into these corners. The goal here in bobsled is you want to drive as little as possible, which sounds funny, sounds weird, but think about a hockey skate. Every time you turn those runners, it's breaking your speed.
Yep. Edson Bindalati of Brazil, and a brakeman change on the back of the sled. In the first heat was Edson Martins. So he's cycling his brakeman around. Oh, didn't get loaded there. The brakeman's knees were up high. 5:34 getaway, 5:30 in the first.
So a little bit slower here, and we don't know why that change was made, so we'll find out afterwards.
It might just be to get them both. They're both relatively new. Edson Martins has been around a few years, but the rest of the guys, Eric here, it's his first year, to get him in a race.
Looking really smooth for the Devil's Highway, coming through Shady here, curve 10. You want to really slingshot into this labyrinth point, because right now you're kind of just holding on for dear life, especially when you don't have a ton of track experience. But he did just win the North American Cup just a couple weeks ago.
Took a gold medal here. He's got better speed than the Swiss as well. The gap's only 1100ths of a second. This could be close at the line. He hasn't quite got it. It may not be quite as finessey a piece of kit as the Swiss sled. 57.31 for Edson Bindalati. So Cedric Follador stays in the leader's box.
He's not going to be happy with himself on that one. He let that slip right out of his hands. Somebody like him was eyeing a top 10, and this is going to push him right out and keep that out of his reach.
Well, critically now in this quad, he's got to bring on these young guys. He doesn't want to be going to a 5th Winter Games as the lead Brazil driver. So he's got 4 years to get them to take over his job, please.
Exactly.
He'll go if he has to. Come on, guys, step
Look
up.
at those eyes. Those eyes are wide open as he headed in. You could see the sled broken, just a little bit of a skid.
He's such a great character.
Such a great guy.
All right, next up, Jeff Gabwa, really close to home here with a big brakeman, Martin Christofferson, behind him.
One of the strongest guys on the American team here. You can see those legs, look at those hips moving back and forth. They're trying to get full extension as well as they can so they can use their levers and get as much drive as you're trying to move this sled as you possibly can.
5:28 in the second start for them, and they made 5:28 in the first.
A big mistake up top and cliffside here. Sets it up well, but man, you really kill your speed if you're skidding around between 1 and 2 and between 2 and 3.
Yeah.
We'll see if what that does to this next split here. He's 300ths ahead.
Looks like the sled...
And he lost 500ths between those 2 heats. Between those 2
Park
splits.
City, it was moving around at the back a little bit more than I thought he was happy with. It's doing the same here.
That's the home track advantage right there, but ooh, that little bit of a late entrance into 17 there should suck some speed. Is a really nice transition to 17-19. He should make it through here. That was a smooth enough transition relative to full-ender.
Gonna be close. Oh,
1/100th of a second. And that was the little amount of driving and the nice smooth transitions in 17, 18, 19 as he headed on that uphill makes all the difference.
Yeah. He could feel that.
And this is one of those sports, Martin, where your mistakes up the track will just multiply as you go down. Make one mistake here, and it's going to just get slower and slower. But on the opposite side, do something really great, and it's going to make a big difference as you move through the next turns. Has a little bit of, big guy has a little bit of hard time getting in there, but he did it nice and gently. You saw the sled did not break away as he came through. Here's the mistake we were talking about there. Coming off of 2 puts you late into 3. Late in 3 means you got to drive harder. And every time you drive harder, that hockey skate approach, it's like hitting the brakes.
Yeah. Next up is Taylor Austin for Canada. Cyrus Gray behind him.
Big Cyrus Gray here. Really excited to see what he's going to be able to do over the next 4 years. And Austin, Canadians are also really excited to see what Tyler can do with a big push. Moves ahead by 1/100th of a second here coming out.
Well, he only had 800s from the first heat. They started a fraction slower, so it's down to 100th. They're tied at the moment.
Yeah. Taylor, not known for his big starts, but he's developing as a driver. And when you can spend a lot of time in Whistler and a lot of time in Lake Placid, he's going to be in contention come 2026.
Right, 500ths of a second in it. Better speed than we saw from Jeff Gabois.
A nice exit out of curve 10 here. Smooth through the labyrinth. This will be a telltale here. Really great through the chicane.
Big speed, 80 miles an hour.
He's going to be happy with this. He's going to be really happy with this run. Well, this is how you want to go into 4-man tomorrow.
He was 800s up, and the gap now 3200s. That is a big run from Taylor Austin. Tidied up the first heat.
Gained almost a 1/4 of a second on that one.
Yeah, just absolutely left Jeff Gabois in his wake.
That is not going to be the start they were hoping for. But again, these long, flat starts for drivers that are still developing their push ability, these long, flat starts will really, really hamper you. But here's what we were talking about. Coming through, exit of 17 here, lets it hang on a little bit. But again, if the track is a little bit faster and your timing is just a little bit off, that's okay, because it puts him on nice and flat into 19 and kept him coming up the hill and kept gaining speed.
Next up, with Taylor Austin in the leader's box, is the second of our Swiss sleds. And this is brakeman Seaman Friedli turned driver. Andreas Haas behind him. So another of so many successful brakeman to front seat combinations. We see a lot in the women's sleds. We see a lot in the men's as well now.
It's the biggest advantage you can have as a driver. 1/100th of a second at the top is 3/100ths of a second at the bottom is the standard math that we would always use. So if you're a brakeman and you can transition to the driver's seat and you can gain a 10th over maybe one of your countrymen,
yep, you can
learn how to drive. There's only so much that you're going to be able to give as a push athlete.
Yeah. 4200s up, gaps going out, 4500s up. Second best speed, so not quite as quick.
But he's going to have plenty of time here to lose it. He's going to be just how much can he hold on? 4200s again. He's stopped the bleeding.
Third best speed, still 79.6 miles an hour.
A wonderfully driven 17, 18, 19 there. That'll certainly keep him up by a few tenths of a second.
And that gives him the speed that he needs up to the line. 56.74.
Happy coaches.
Yeah. Rico Peter, the taller figure on the left. And Peter Ramseidel, who spent years with the British crew and he's a Swiss native. He's returned to the Swiss team over the last 2 or 3 seasons.
He was with the Brits back in my day.
Oh yeah. Peter's played, I think pretty much since I can remember, was with the British coaching lineup.
It looks more violent than it feels in there. That's used to coming off of 12 there. The sleds, you just give it a little bit of a touch and the sleds just slide right off for you into 13.
Do you know, if you were sat in the back of a sled now doing it again, you'd be going, oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, I don't even mind. Just talking about that makes my back, my
Your
head, my
discs
neck
are a whole
hurt
lot
again.
better now than they probably ought to be, so let's not put them in jeopardy.
Exactly.
All right, Seaman Friedli leads for Switzerland. Next up, Frankie Del Duca and Hakim Abdul Sabur. And again, a man, Frank Del Duca, who started his career as a push athlete. So again, with that athleticism that you need.
And coming off that ankle injury from the push championships, looks pretty good though. Looks pretty good coming through 5:23. Probably not quite where they'd like to be with Big Abdul Sabur in the back there.
Again, just 2 more pushes tomorrow, and then a couple of weeks with the foot up, a bit of R&R before we get back into European action.
Home for the holidays will heal many wounds.
Yeah. Second best speed, he was very tight on time with Seaman Friedli.
But his home track here should be able to kick in as we come through here. Coming out of Shady into the labyrinth. Smooth transition from 12 to 13. Let's see how he does on the way into the chicanes. That is not going to help him, that entrance through there.
All right, The gap's out. It's 600ths of a second still, 700ths.
The Americans looking to pull back into the top
did he
spot
just
here.
take a tag on the inside of 20? 800ths at the line, 56.88. So just didn't quite have enough to hang on, Frank Del Duca.
You know, the American team right now is in a rebuilding phase. They've got some talented drivers here. With Hunter hurt right now, that hurts them not having him around. And you know, look, this is a place where we've got to do better than this. Here in Lake Placid, this is our home track. Not being in the top 6 is not going to be Brian Scheimer, head coach Brian Scheimer, is not going to be happy without the guys here in the top 6. But you know what? It's post-Olympic year. You remember these things. These are the things you remember in the gym. Yeah. This summer, these guys will remember. He'll remember these mistakes in the gym. He'll remember these mistakes as he's prepping next fall. Yeah.
Hey,
and that'll make him better.
The medical staff that got me ready to push. I was on crutches like 3-4 days ago. So thanks a lot, guys. Thank you.
He genuinely was. He turned up at the push champs on crutches, and I thought, oh, what on earth has he done? So fantastic to have him here. Marcus Treichel, Marcus Sommer now. Big, strong brakeman behind Treichel, and that's really upped his game this season, having a big pushing crew.
Well, and it gives you a confidence as a driver too. You know that you're going to have a shot. You don't have to overdrive. You don't have to try harder. You know that you can just go to the plan and go to the program and have the confidence that the people behind you are going to do their jobs, and then you just have to do yours.
Yeah, and they fire him off the deck of the catapult. And yeah, everything's coming at him quick here. 700s is the lead. This was a tight little group of sleds after the first heat.
He's going to be really happy with this bottom of the track, though, so far. A little tap going into 17. Again, sets him up fairly well.
Third best speed. Fastest sled still, Taylor Austin of Canada at this stage. 700s in front.
That little bump that hurts, though.
Touch and go. Whoa! 100th of us. Friedli again by 100th. This time not for the gold.
Stomfer, Wolfgang Stomfer on the right there, the incredible former Austrian pilot. He knows those mistakes that you heard that bump. We didn't see it on the camera, but you heard the bump between 19 and 20, and that is a speed killer.
Well, there was a tight battle. Treichel, Del Duca, Friedli after the first heat, and you saw the way it got sorted out. One error.
Need coming out of curve 3 there. Nice little tap that sets you up for an early entrance into 4. You had a little bump there we saw going into 4, but wouldn't have hurt his speed too much. Here's that double tap, and then a little bit, the pressure still holds him on the side there, and he's going to go late into 17, which means he has to drive hard.
Marcus Treichel, Seaman Friedli. Friedli went to a brand new haircut and cut the beard off for the push champs. Needed to take more. He should have lost the moustache as well. Next up into the closing stages, 5th place after the first heat. Brad Hall, Greg Cackett. Brad's had 2 silver medals in the 2-man so far this season, but was not happy with his first run.
You got a couple of track athletes here. Brad is the decathlete, and he's been driving really well this year. You've got Brad in the back, who's, as we mentioned, the first heat. This is his first 2-man race of the year. Yeah. He's excited to come back. Thought he'd be able to race in Park City, but his body wasn't quite ready.
Yeah, Greg Cackett hanging on to the handles as Brad tries to find the speed. We've lost his telemetry, so we're not getting speeds or times here. The timing on the track will still be measuring. It's just not broadcasting from the sled right now.
We really get to test our skills at this point.
Well, it's looking like a nice run. And he has a decent run through the chicane, sets him up in 17.
Now we're back 5,500ths ahead.
Thank you to the guys at Swiss Timing for getting the second stream to us.
Great entrance into 19. That's going to slingshot him forward. We should be looking at more than 0.6 of a second at this point.
Is this going to take him into the medals? 56.49. That might be enough.
He certainly is putting the pressure on the Germans and the Swiss that are coming behind him.
56.49. He was late off in the first heat, and he had a 56.30. So what did Treichel do? 56.83 compared to 67. So Treichel was much slower.
Some incredible athletes there on the push. As you see the driver is a little more upright as they're pushing with that push bar there, which puts him sometimes in a little bit better of a position to be able to then enter into the sled. And again, that little bump into 17, you want to take it. You don't love that double, that bump where you see the front fin and then the back fin hit in that way. It's nicer if they will hit together, sets you up parallel going in, but It's better to take that tap than to not.
Looked and sounded a little happier, but there are still 4 to go. Look at the tiny margin that Christoph Harfer had over him.
You see the big Germans there. See how much that driver's got to bend over? It's going to make it a little bit slower, a little bit harder to get him in the sled. You see his foot had a delay. That means he's tapping the seat on his way in to just get himself set up.
Yeah, Matthias Sommer is a tall athlete as well. But it does mean that the two of them are quite big. They're pushing a lighter sled off the line as well.
That does. That's a big difference. The Germans have always gone with that theory. They always have big, tall, former discus throwers, former track athletes who carry a lot of mats with them, which means if it's not on you, it has to be in the sled and vice versa.
Lots of multidiscipline athletes. I mean, lots of decathletes.
But we lost 600s at this point.
Yeah. He was only 200s up to start with. And again, struggling to hang on to Brad Hall. I think Brad's second run was a very good one.
And Brad had definitely a better chicane coming through there, so was able to hold his speed more.
Yeah, taking speed out of the sled from Christoph Harfer. Timing has gone a little bit on the fritz, but we have... okay, well
the track, the official timing will work.
It will work.
And Rene Spiess there isn't sure. Rene Spiess is one of the best drivers in the 2000s in his own right for the Germans. And Rene has such a wonderful culture for the German team, and he's such a fantastic head coach. He's gone through some of the German coaching schools as soon as he got into sport, and has really been building a team that is ready to support these German drivers and these athletes in an amazing way.
I absolutely think it is such a relaxed, considering how dog-eat-dog it must be to be a German athlete in such a deep program, it's got such a relaxed, organic feel about the team, and that is all him.
Which is very unlike the German teams of the past. There was a lot of pressure, a lot of stress.
All right, well, there you go. They did take the lead from Brad Hall, it seems. So 3 to go, Michael Vogt and Sandro Michel. So we have a total tie for Christoph Harfer.
And we've got a 2400 second gap here coming into this heat, or well, exiting the start, I should say, 2400th gap.
All right, so it looks as though we're only going to get time at the line. We won't get the splits. But again, Michael Vogt drove a really good first heat, and so far it's looking good in the second.
He looks great. He had a great top of the track, setting himself up for the bottom where he knows then the pressure comes off. If you have a great top, you can relax. You know, you can let the sled run. You don't have to work too much harder. And Lake Placid is not a place you want to have to overthink.
Oh, nice chicane for Michael Vogt.
Super hard to thread the needle here while still entering 17 in the right place. Fantastic drive. That should slingshot him right up into...
Well, into the medals. Michael Vogt with the lead, 56.15. And that is a medal for Michael Vogt. He leads with 2 to go.
That's a big medal for him here in Lake Placid. This is a track that you can walk away with the medals here. You feel like you've had a fantastic, fantastic weekend.
The last Swiss medal in two-man on this track, Bernd Hefti and Alex Baumann in 2013-14 season. So 8 years ago.
Coming through, this is what we were talking about, this chicane. So hard to do, and you still see him. He's on the left side of our camera at that point, which meant he was set up for a wonderful and easy entrance into 17 where he didn't have to overdrive and sets himself up for the rest of the heart.
4 Swiss two-man medals on this track in 22 years. Bernd Hefti took 2. Martin Annan took 2. Bernd Hefti took 1. And Ivo Rück took 1.
And here's our best starting team. Typically, Friedrich here. Remember when Friedrich came out, we could see right away that he was going to be something special. And boy, has he delivered on that promise. When you're an athlete like this, you have so much pressure that gets put on you, and especially when you come from the German program, to continue to live up for it. They had a gap after Andre Lange, which is who was the best German bobsleigh pilot at the time, of all time, and now Friedrich is knocking on that door.
Wow, 1900s up for Francesco Friedrich. It's not about beating Michael Vogt, it's about beating Hansi Lochner, but the gap's come down. It was 2/10. Good chicane.
This is not the heat he was looking for here.
Not the best speed. He's going to hang on. He will be ahead of Michael Vogt. It's down to single digits at the line. It's going to be within a couple of hundreds, 600ths of a second. Well, Michael Vogt will still be the first Swiss medalist in two-man since 2014. And Francesco Friedrich, is he going to add a fourth two-man victory on this track?
He's a happy guy, but he's going to know that might not have been what he needed to do to move ahead of his teammate.
All three previous wins.
Big push there. Look at those pistons of that brakeman in the back there. These guys are something special. If it doesn't happen for them today, we're going to continue to see them dominating throughout the rest of the series. The rest of the season.
Well, all three wins on this track have come with Torsten Margis behind him, so it would be a first for Alex Schuller if it happens. And we will know in just a minute. Francesco Friedrich leads, Johannes Lochner next up, last to go. And they both won last time we were here in 2019. All right.
We've got our big track athlete in the back here, 400 hurdler, who competed at the World Championships in 2011. Whoa, whoa, whoa. So a little bit of a timing error here of these guys.
So was the clock not running?
It must not have been. Oh, no, it is running. We're at 40 seconds
but
left.
They just didn't have the hit.
The good news is that should fire their adrenaline up even more. I would expect them to push even faster anyway.
Let's see what happens. 1600ths is the lead. 5:07 to 5:06 of Friedrich, so equal at the start.
That's the start they needed. That's the top of the track they needed right there. Little double tap. See how those two front and back fins hit at the same time. That does not do anything but help you set up you up for number 4.
Right, he gave away nothing up to corner 4. Now it's all about the Devil's Highway and the Labyrinth.
And Friedrich's run was not that clean. So we can see Lochner come through here, come out of shady tight. He's doing exactly what he needs to hold on at this point. Let's look at his front runners as they come through here. Silent, and he threads the needle. That's our best chicanes of the entire day. Whoa, he let it hung out a little bit long on 17 there, but it should be plenty enough time.
Not quite as long as the last run. It is gold for Johannes Lochner. That is his 6th career win. And it is the first time that Francesco Friedrich has not won in two-man since Sigulda last spring.
What's going through Lochner's head right now is two things. He's ecstatic that he just won a World Cup medal.
Yeah.
Over his teammate, over the rest of the field. And also in the back of his head is thinking, if he did that on the exit of 17th in 4-man, it's going to be a little bit messier than that.
Well, as ever, Friedrich the first to congratulate anybody who wins or who loses to him. And there you go. Hansi Lochner, an early Christmas present. Victory in the two-man. He won here the last time we were here, but so did Friedrich. They took a gold and a silver apiece. So in Lake Placid races, Friedrich still leads 3 wins to 2 over Hansi in the two-man.
This is one of those tracks, Martin. It's Altenburg, it's Lake Placid. These are the two places that you know as both a push athlete and a driver that you really had to earn it. There's something special about winning in Lake Placid. It's difficult. It is. The weather has been nasty. You've had to deal with warming up in the snow. These guys had to earn it over their teammates, over their countrymen. They're going to enjoy this one tonight, and then they're going to get ready to wake up in the morning and get ready for 4-man tomorrow afternoon.
He's beaten Francesco Friedrich occasionally before, most often in 4-man in Koenigsegg, but to beat him here twice in a two-man, this is a proper driver's track. Those are two proper drivers.
These are a really, really great job. I mean, the whole field, we had saw really great bobsled driving today.
And look how close Vogt got to silver.
Oh, 600ths of a second. Clearly the class of the field were the 3 medalists.
Absolutely.
There was no doubt about that. Friedel was 100th of a second off of the top 6, which is part of the awards ceremony.
Yep, that's going to be tough.
And we have 2 Americans in the top 10 here today. And the Canadians and Big Cyrus Gray sneaking in there for 9th place.
So nice stuff and great, exciting racing. Delighted to have you join me, Steve Messler. Now, I know you've got things to do this evening. Steve's off to be inducted into the US Bobsleigh Hall of Fame tonight, along with lots of friends and family. So We'll look forward to seeing you tomorrow for the four-man race, if you are in any kind of state to talk.
I'm so excited to be here. It is special to be able to do this and be placed in the halls with my former teammate, the late Steve Holcomb, and some amazing athletes from Brian Scheimer, and get inducted tonight with Brandy Jones and Tristan Gale, Vanetta Flowers, and Jeff Bodine. It's in the honor of a lifetime. I never would have thought, as I started this sport in 2001, that I'd be here being put into this and being elevated with these amazing athletes that are around here.
All the stuff that you've done in the sport and beyond with Classroom Champs and everything else, I think it's well worthwhile, and have a great evening. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow, whether you're able to chat or not. Francesco Friedrich, still our points leader from Hansi Lochner at the Christmas break. Brad Hall shuffled back down into third place after a fifth place finish today. So that is it for 2022 for two-man bobsleigh. We are back with the women at 10 tomorrow morning, 1500 GMT, and the four-man, the big dogs, are out at 2:30 tomorrow afternoon. Until then, for Steve Messer, I'm Martin Haven saying thank you for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.
Francesco, your first defeat in a long time. How was it?
It was okay. Ach zo, ich muss ja.
Op Duits, ja. Oké. Nou, dat is niet live.
Heel goed.
Ja, op Duits geht nicht.
Ja, doch.
Francesco, ein zweiter Platz, sinds lange Zeit. Wie war das?